Hey guys, this is Nick from Financially Aware. Graham Stephan did a video about how his new Tesla only cost $78 a month. Of course, it was only with a lot of mental gymnastics of taking all the government rebates and tax write-offs all in the first year. He still has to pay $640 a month for the life of the loan, as well as dealing with the loss from depreciation on the car. But the money he made on his video about it made more than the car is worth, so it completely paid it off. So if you can do a video about your car and get 6 million views on it, then you can buy any car you want. But if you are not Graham Stephan and want to know how to get a good used car for about $100 a month for real, watch this video. If you want to be financially independent, you could do it by making more and spending less. Now, spending less won't make you rich, but for large purchases like a house or a car, it can amount to a lot of money. In this video, I'm going to show you how to buy a reliable used car for about $100 a month. Now, this video will not show you some weird trick how to get a brand new BMW for $100 a month. This is real info for people who are serious about lowering the expense of buying a car. The average new car loan is about $569 on a $33,700 car. And for used cars, the average loan is about $397 on a $20,700 car. If you follow this video, you can get a good used car for about 1/4 of what the average used car buyer gets. Now, the first thing you should know is that a car is not an investment like they try to tell you on car commercials. It is a depreciating asset that will always be eventually worth zero. Once you understand that, then you will realize that paying interest for something that depreciates makes no sense. That means you should try to spend as little as you can on a car. Now, just like a $90,000 Mercedes is not 3 times better than a $30,000 Toyota, likewise a $2,000 car is not 4 times better deal than an $8,000 car. There is diminishing returns in buying a cheap car, just as there is with buying a really expensive car. A very cheap car may be very old and have recurring problems of things that constantly break because all the parts eventually wear out. The time, expense, and hassle of a really cheap car is usually not worth it for most people. So the sweet spot is buying a reliable brand that has already depreciated at least 50% and still has lots of miles before things start breaking down. If you have cash and drive less than about 15,000 miles a year and think of a car as a tool or an appliance rather than a reflection of your ego, then this video is for you. If you are a car guy and want the latest flashy car and barely have enough cash for a down payment, then this video probably will not help you. Now, I actually consider myself a car guy. I know a lot about cars and car models and have owned about 25 cars over the years. I have never actually bought a new car and have always bought my cars from private sellers except for I think 3 of them. I also sell my cars to private buyers when I'm done with them. And I have even sold cars for friends and coworkers who did not want to do it themselves. I have bought and sold cars on eBay, Craigslist, and Cars.com, and I have been averaging about $100 a month expense on my cars for about 15 years now. And although I'm trying to keep them a little longer than the usual 3 to 5 years I've been averaging, I get itchy for something different, and so I usually switch up, but I'm getting better at keeping them longer as I get older. The key to getting the most car for the least amount of money is to buy a reliable brand. Do not take a loan. buy it from a private seller, and when it is time to sell your car, do not trade it into a dealer, sell it yourself. Now, you may not be able to do all these four things, but if you can, you will get the most car for your money and lose the least amount of money when you sell it. Let's start with the type of car to buy. Like Scotty Kilmer on YouTube says, stick with Toyotas. And I would expand that a little bit to Hondas, Lexuses, Acuras, and maybe even some newer Mazdas. For this video, I'm going to use the example of a 5-year-old Toyota Camry LE with 75,000 miles. It's a good representation of a good, reliable, average used car. And just to show you the different depreciation rates of different cars, we have Toyota Camry, BMW 5 Series, Lexus ES350, and Mercedes-Benz E-Class, all about the same size car, and these are their depreciation rates. 5-year-old Lexus still retains 53% of its original price, Camry 50%, whereas a BMW is like 37%, and this blue line is the industry average. So you see they hold their value better than, you know, the so-called big luxury cars, Mercedes-Benz and BMW. Now looking at Toyota's depreciation here on a Camry, you see at a 5-year mark, the Camry is about 50% of its original price. And here they have a really good information here. It's showing the 2020 Camry new price is $28,000. Say a 2015 new, it was almost $26,000, and now it's $13,000. So about 50% of its value. And this green line is supposed to show the best deal. So this 2018, you paid 70% of its original price, and it still supposedly has 83% left of its life, assuming a 12-year life period. But here the example we're using, the 2015, you paid about 50% of its original price, and it still has 58% of its life remaining. Now, you know, these cars last more than 12 years, but this is just what they're using as the total lifetime of these cars. So to find out what a 2020 is worth in 5 years, you could just look at a 2015, what it's worth currently. And same with if you buy a 2015 today and you want to know what it's going to be worth in 5 years, just look at what the 2010 is worth today. So if a 2015 is worth $13,300 today, in 5 years it will likely be worth around $73,224, assuming the same amount of average miles are put on it and same kind of condition. So let's look at the difference in prices though when you go to a dealer, a private party, and for retail. So using the example of the 2015 Toyota Camry LE with 75,000 miles, Kelley Blue Book, these are all Kelley Blue Book's data, and so they have different numbers for fair, good, very good, and excellent. We're going to use good because that's about 50% of all cars supposedly. So let's just look at, if you wanted to sell your 2015 Camry and you tried to trade it into a dealer, even in good condition, the low end the dealer would pay you is $7,700, the high end is $8,900. For a private party, you would get almost $9,400 on the low end and almost $10,900 on the high end. All right, so the difference is about $3,100. And so you see the difference between what a dealer will pay you versus what a private party you can get in a private party transaction is about $3,000. Okay, that's a lot for, you know, a car that's, let's say, you know, anywhere from $10,000 to $7,700, something like that. That's a good 30% or so. Now, that's just, you know, that's private party and trade-in. So a dealer can pay you $7,700 for your car, and turn around and sell it retail, and the retail price on the low end is $10,300 and on the high end is $13,351. So the difference between retail and trade-in low, this $13,351 and $7,700, is $56.46. So you see how much how much money there is the dealers are making on you when you're doing that. So that's why it's such a much better deal to try to buy from a private party seller, because whether you get it on the low end of $9,400 or the high end of $10,800, it's still way better than the high end of retail $13,351. So, and the other thing is, when you're dealing with a dealer, anybody who buys something and then resells it, when they're buying it from you, even if the thing is in good condition, they're going to tell you it's in fair condition and try to pay you on the low end of the range. So they're going to point out every little flaw and tell you that there's all kinds of problems with it and stuff like that, to try to pay you as little as possible. And then they'll turn around, and when they try to sell it, they try to sell it like, it's the greatest thing in the world and it's almost brand new, and they're trying to get $13,000 for it. So there's a huge spread between what they want to pay you and what they try to sell it for. And so this is one of the biggest costs in buying a used car, is buying from the dealer at their retail, because you're just paying an inflated price that you can pay a much lower price by buying it from a private party. Here $10,800, or depending how well you negotiate, 93, or somewhere in the middle like 10,000. That's still, if you bought it in the middle, that's still about $3,500 difference between dealer retail and a private party transaction. Now let's take a look at, let's assume that you hold the car for 5 years and put 15,000 miles a year on it, and now you want to sell it in 5 years. So that's like saying how much a 2010 Camry goes for now. So if you bought this 2015 today, held it for 5 years, you could expect to get the price of a 2010 today. And so here's Kelley Blue Book prices again for a 2010 Camry. Now, the trade-in for good is $23.84, but the private party for high is $58.97, a difference of about $3,500. Okay, so again, this is where a lot of your money is being burnt up and going into the pockets of dealers, because that's a big difference for a $6,000, less than $6,000 car, to have a $3,500 difference between what you can potentially sell it for and what a dealer offers you is huge. And the dealers are still, turning around and selling this car that they offer you $23.84. On the high end, they're offering it for $75.09, which is $5,000 more than what they're willing to pay on the low end on a trade-in. So there's just so much money that is just going into dealers' pockets. It's not getting you any more car or any lower mileage car or any more value in the car. It's just dealer tricks that are stuffing their pockets and taking the money out of your pocket and putting it in theirs. So let's take a look at the best case scenario if you're buying a 2015, let's say, right? Best case scenario, you buy it at the private low price, $93.96, right? And you sell it 5 years later at the private high price, meaning you put an ad in cars.com or whatever and sell it as much as you can, $58.97. The difference is $34.99, meaning that's how much the car cost you over 5 years. You paid $93, you sold it for $58, and the difference is $3,500 approximately. If you divide that by 5 years or 60 months, that comes out to $58 a month. That's even way less than $100. Now, you might have a few repairs here and there or something like that, That might bring it closer to 100, but that's a pretty damn good price. Now you're not going to get it perfectly right and sell it at the perfect high price and buy it at the perfect low price, but just doing these things of using the private market and not using dealers can get you significantly below 100, maybe even close to 100, whatever, but in that ballpark. Now let's see what happens when you do the absolute worst case. So you buy it at retail, $13,351, and then 5 years later when you trade it in and they go, oh, this is only fair condition, we could only give you here $1,818. So the difference is $11,533, which is like 3 times more than the best case scenario here. And that cost divided by 60 months is $192 a month. So the difference between these two things is like more than 3 times. So that's that's it in a nutshell. Is you're not getting more for your money, by buying at the dealer. You're just getting the convenience of having the cars all in one place, them offering you financing. You don't have to go track down cars and go look at them at private people's houses and stuff like that. But for that convenience, you're paying like 3 times more than somebody that does a little legwork and research and saves themselves a boatload of money. I mean, that's like $8,000 difference over 5 years here. And just to show you the big difference in prices on these cars that are basically the same car. So I did a search on cars.com over the whole country for just a 2015 Camry, 80,000 miles or less. There's 523 results, right? And it starts anywhere from 6,500, which is probably something wrong with this car, but quickly goes up to 9,000, 10,000, around 10,000. Now, one other thing, all of these prices you see with these dealers, they're about $1,000 lower than the true price, because all these dealers add like a dealer fee of $700, $800, $900 plus all kinds of other fees. So when you see these dealer prices that, even though they look a little good, add like $1,000 to it, because they underprice it to get people in the door, and then they hit you with the fees later. But my point is, out of these 523 cars that start around 10,000, right? If you sort from highest to lowest, let's see what you get. You got cars that are selling, they're trying to sell the same car, 2015, with 57,000 miles for almost $28,000, okay? This one is $19,000. This one is also $19,000. So the range that these dealers are trying to get, some of them are so ridiculous, $18,000 with the similar type mileage of the same cars that I just showed you for $10,000-$11,000. So dealers will try to get anything from you, and they will sell you this $17,000, $18,000 with 63,000 miles with a straight face, because they give you the convenience. Oh, come right in, no haggle pricing. We, if you make X amount of dollars per week, you're approved, and we have the loans and all this stuff. So you're paying through the nose for this convenience of having all the cars in one location, having the loans in-house and all this stuff. And, this car, this $18,000 car is not much different than any of these other cars. And imagine you bought this thing for $18,000, 63,000 miles, and as soon as you bought it, you needed to sell it, a month from now, and you go to a dealer and they look at the trade-in prices and they go, oh yeah, this is somewhere between $7,700 and $8,900 we can give you for it. And you're like, I just paid $18,000 for it a month or two ago. And they go, hey, that's the wholesale price, that's what we could pay you. So you see, there's so much dealer profit and stuff in these prices that If you can avoid the dealers and do it with private parties, you're saving yourself a ton of money and also a ton of headache having to deal with all these dealers that are just salesmen trying to get as much money out of you as possible. Now, on the other end, when you're selling your 2010 Camry, right? Here's the 2010 search I did with 150,000 miles or less. And they're going from anywhere from like 4,000, 5,000, and up. Quickly 6,000. But even here, right? Even here on a 10-year-old car, if you sort by the highest, and there's 237 of them listed, you sort by the highest, and you'll still see ridiculous prices. You got this guy selling a car with 95,000 miles on it, 2010, for almost $14,000, and they do that with a straight face. Here's another one, 12.6 with 100,000 miles, 2010. So, I mean, just because a dealer is telling you that this is the price doesn't mean that it really is. It fluctuates so wildly, and the convenience of giving you the loan and all that stuff, they jack these things up like crazy and you pay through the nose. It doesn't mean you get more car or more value car or a better condition car or any of that. It only means you're paying more money and the dealers are making more profit from you. So when you're doing a big purchase like this, you got to stick to private party transactions, know what the car is worth, know what you should pay for it, and just do your research, and you will find a good car, usually from a 1 or 2 owner car that took care of it well, and you can figure that out on your own by looking at it and evaluating the car. So this is my video on how to buy a car for $100 a month, assuming a 5-year or more holding period. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and let me know if you want me to do a video that shows how I actually go about finding these cars and what I look for in a used car to let you know whether the car is a good one or not a good one. As always, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Thanks for watching.